I'm Tina Fordham, and you're watching The Navigator. As we start out the year, here's my top tip to C-suite leaders looking for a survival guide to the geopolitical uncertainty that's coming at us fast in 2024. Ditch the predictions, focus on what's plausible. As regular viewers of The Navigator know, I think we're in the midst of a new geopolitical risk supercycle defined by more wars, lots of important elections in big countries, and fewer buffers to mitigate disruption than at any point for decades. The decisions that are taken and not taken in 2024 are going to shape the rest of this decade and beyond, so no pressure 2024. It's clear that boards and the C-suite are worried. We can see it reflected in the survey data, with geopolitical risk and political uncertainty coming out top in the recent KPMG CEO survey. But behind closed doors, a lot of leaders are still taking a decidedly 20th century approach to defining the big questions. This is what I hear most often. When will the wars end in Ukraine and the Middle East? Will China invade Taiwan? Will President Trump win the U.S. elections? Is the world order changing to the G7 versus the global South? And last but not least, when will the world return to normal? These questions were difficult to model in the best of times. They're even harder now during the geopolitical risk supercycle. And as for returning to normal, this is more a product of nostalgia than anything else. So, instead of false dichotomies and overly simplistic binary outcomes, we need to focus on two words: plausible hypotheticals. This is a core element of our PQ approach, that's raising your political quotient. And by plausible hypotheticals, I mean disruptive outcomes that have a material probability of taking place, 10% or more, but lie somewhere in between the space of conventional base case and tail risk framework. In simple terms, you need to stress test a range of plausible scenarios for the impact on your portfolio or business strategy beyond the simple war and peace or stability versus chaos. Let's close with a quick look at our Navigator Watchlist for January. This month, we're looking at January 13th elections in Taiwan, so is Beijing, because the stance of the winning party toward the One China policy will influence the strategic calculus on the mainland and very probably the rate and intensity of military patrols and exercises in the Straits. We also think that further escalation in the Middle East remains likely. We flagged this last month, and it is coming to pass, with recent developments in the Red Sea shipping lanes supporting our thesis. The Middle East conflict still has room to heat up further, in my view, and we think markets remain overly complacent. On Russia and Ukraine, we warned previously that the stalled vote in the U.S. Congress on further military aid to Ukraine could embolden Moscow, and it has since stepped up its attacks on Ukraine. We think Russia will continue with its escalate to de-escalate approach, and the Kremlin is unlikely to enter peace negotiations until after U.S. elections. Finally, we are also tracking the legal case that will determine whether former President Trump can appear on the U.S. presidential ballot. It's been referred to the U.S. Supreme Court and will be heard on February 8th. Now, few U.S. Supreme Court decisions are market-moving, but this one could be, though it could also result in a technical fudge. Thanks for watching The Navigator. Get in touch with us by clicking on the link if you want to subscribe to our newsletter and engage with us directly on these issues. You can also find more content on our website.